Hello, my name is Carlos Oralvo, and you already know me, but I'm going to give a brief explanation of the events that occurred as a result of the World War One. So let's get started. First, we have to focus on the time the war was ending. So by the time that the war was reaching its culmination, the resources, were becoming increasingly depleted, especially those of the centralized and the potential countries such as Germany, which this one, Germany, which found itself in the need of ending the war just because it didn't have any armies that were superior of the Triple Entente and United States. So the first consequence of this socio-economic crisis that Germany was having resulted in the signing of the armistice that ended the World War One and generated some sort of peace between the Eastern and the Western worlds. But at what cost? Well, it costed almost everything. The effects are very wide, since too many innocent people outside the matter were involuntarily included. Among them, we can highlight the civilians and the dead soldiers and political problems that were arising from the war, the famine, the hunger, and the massive destruction of the cities and towns. So it was very negative for all the people the because the citizens were suffering something that they hadn't the fault of. They weren't involved in the situation, so it wasn't fair. It was unfair for them. And now we're going to talk about how the land was distributed after the war ended. So, um, we have that the territorial order was affected since then. First, to begin with, several empires were disintegrated, such as the Austro-Hungarian, the Ottoman, the German, and the Russian, indeed. Then the British and the French countries seized the majority of the disputed territories. For example, we have that France recovered the territories of Alsace, Lens, and Lorraine, and this country, France, along with Russia and Great Britain, controlled the German and Ottoman colonies. Focus here that the Austro-Hungarian and the German colonies, in those times were so big and so wide, and now are split up in too many countries that nowadays they're independent, but in those times they had Great Britain, France, and Russia had the control of. And also, well, it is not in the map, but we know that United States ended up strengthening economically, politically, and industrially because it was one of the countries. So now we're going to focus into the economical consequences that mostly were bad. First, we have the military expenses and the devastation caused by the destruction of the war that caused a great loss of money because this money was mostly invested in the scientific research, which served to the implement of the mechanism of weapons and technology for the battlefield. They use the money to make to make more lethal weapons in order to win the fights. And in addition, the affected countries, these countries that were suffering unfairly were indebted to the suppliers of the raw materials and for manufacturing because there was no other way to manufacture the weapons and everything that they needed for the war. So this, the devastation and also the debts, caused a great famine and a great difficulty to rebuild the destroyed cities because basically there was no money. In fact, the estimated is about $338 billion in damages, which included the 21 million wounded people, the 8.5 million dead soldiers, the farms, the, the finished and the ruined factories. It all resulted in a huge disaster. So, Due to these events, the survivors, the people that survived to everything, reflected a new sense of hopelessness, given that the war had no purpose. So, we have just observed the immediate and the most damaging aspects for society in those days. And now, we're going to see what brought this need for peace and tranquility. Okay, we've got here that after the armistice, it was necessary to have a commitment of all the nations of not to attempt against the peace that was in the meantime. So, for that reason, in 1919, the peace conference was created in Paris, where the signing of the Treaty of Versailles will take place, which would officially end the years of the First World War. So, but what? However, not everything was beneficial for everyone, because inside this document there was detailed all the things and all the losses that the war caused, but Germany was accused as the main responsible for that. So this caused the discontent of the German people, which also would serve as an important trigger for the World War II, which occurred 20 years later. So, in other words, um, they signed the Treaty of Versailles, which also was signed by their own Germany. But the people of Germany was angry because the treaty was blaming it for everything, but it was not only their fault. But that's the point. They blamed only Germany, so that was like motivation for the future leaders to start another World War One, no, another World War Two. Probably, probably motivating Hitler, the people like Hitler and all the dictators that claimed for Germany. So that would be all the consequences that I could found. Well, not only the ones that I could found, but the most important, the most relevant. So that will be all. And thanks a lot for watching and having a lot of patience to understand me because I didn't even understand a lot of what I said. And well, that will be all. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.